Welcome back to the channel. So last year, around this time, May of last year, I made a video on this beautiful desert rose where I only had 4 main branches on this tree. And I made a video where I trimmed each of those main branches off. And I said the ideal there was each time you trim a branch on desert rose, you get between 2 to 3 new branches coming off of there. So last year I had 4 main branches, and if we count up now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I have 10 branches, where last year I only had 4. So what that does is it obviously produces a better canopy if you're trying to develop a thicker plant. And in this case, I want this to one day be a beautiful bonsai tree. So I want a thick canopy. Also, the more branches you have, the more flowers your desert rose will be able to produce, whether you have it as a bonsai tree or just as a normal desert rose. The more branches you have, the more flowers that desert rose will be able to produce. So if you want a lot of flowers on your desert rose, make sure you have a lot of branches. To get a lot of branches, make sure you prune every year. So this year, now that I have 10 branches, I'm going to prune this desert rose back again. That way I will have even more branches to produce and sustain even more flowers. So the first thing I'm going to do is just take a rag with some rubbing alcohol, because I want to sterilize my cutting instrument. And I'm going to take a small razor blade to use to cut my desert rose. So I'm just cleaning the cutting end of my blade. Whether you use a pair of scissors or a knife, a razor blade or whatever, either way, you want to make sure that the cutting end has been sanitized. So rubbing alcohol is a good way to do that. Now that I have that sanitized, I'm just going to come in here, and you're looking at the front of the tree, all right? I'm just gonna come in here, being careful not to cut myself, and I'm going to make my cuts. Now it is early May 2023, and this tree has been pretty much dormant for the whole winter inside my house, because where I live, we get cold winters, and this semi-tropical type of tree can't make it through the winter. So these leaves are actually pretty much all new in the last 2 to 3 weeks. One side note, if you want to grow more desert roses from cuttings, you can take a cutting just like this and root it. I have examples of myself doing this on my channel, so if you're interested in doing that, look down in my channel and you'll see videos on how to accomplish that. I think this guy's still small enough, and so is this one, that I'm just going to leave those 2 alone. I'll leave this one alone, but I will trim this one. I'm happy with that. All right. The next thing I'm going to do on the ends of these desert roses, if you saw other videos where I'm working on this plant and other desert roses that I have, desert roses have a tendency, even if you clean your cutting instrument, to get fungus to grow where there's wounds. So people do different things. I know people that put latex paint over these cuts to close those. Some people use hot wax, and they would just put hot wax on top of there to close it up. Another thing you can do is you can use fungicide also. What I like to use, and it works great, is just normal ground cinnamon powder that you would buy out of the store and cook with. It's cheap, and it has an anti-fungal property to it. So what you do is just open it up and sprinkle some ground cinnamon onto each one of those cuts that you made. And if you make a cut on the trunk or on the roots, if you're doing root work on your plant, just use the ground cinnamon on any cuts or open wounds on your desert rose. I think that's all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 cuttings. So yes, I made 6 cuts. So they're all covered. I'm gonna give you guys a 360-degree look at this tree. It is developing very well. The root system. In an earlier video, I made on this channel where I put a piece of styrofoam separating those roots to give a little bit of a thicker root system and a little more curiosity in between those roots by having some cavities in there. If you're interested in how I do that, once again, look into my channel on how I do that with my desert roses. But there you are again, looking at the front of it. So I'm envisioning a finished canopy about right here with the desert rose. And year after year, it's just gonna keep getting thicker and thicker to about this size with probably 30 to 40 different small branches coming off, giving me a lot of ramification in this plant. And at that point, it would just, when it blossoms with red flowers, it would just be covered in beautiful red flowers. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I will leave this tree, now that it's been pruned, in a semi-shaded area for the next week or two. Just let it help it recover. And after that, it will go back outside into full sun. So I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, leave me a comment down below. I love hearing from you guys. I love answering you guys' questions. And I'll see you in the next video.